What's going on? Move the Mouse here, back in City Skylines, the town of Portsmouth, with our Let's Play Season 7, episode number 42, I think. Man, it is tough when you get up into these numbers. I was not expecting to do this many episodes. You'll notice a bit of flooding that's happening in an effort to clean up a large island on the edge of the map that I wasn't using. I thought it made the terrain kind of fade off into the distance a little bit better. I sunk that to the bottom of the ocean, and I created a massive tidal wave as part of that. So, unfortunately, it flooded a lot of our industrial island, and we're still waiting on the emergency crews to go and check out a few of the buildings that were abandoned, and we should be able to rebuild them. I've also pulled trees off of a lot of the map. Looks like we can rebuild this structure, if it'll let me click on it. There we go. So I've pulled, oh, there's another one over here. I pulled a bunch of the trees off the map in an effort to kind of free up some of the resources. Right now we are at 40,000 trees out of a possible 260,000 plus on the map. And I've also done a little something over here in terms of landscaping, which was to kind of raise up this hill. And what we can do is that kind of makes, again, the edge of the map fade off a little bit more naturally. Over here we have our outside connections for highway and rail, and I kind of have those tunneling through this hill so that when we look from over here, we don't just see the edge of the map, we kind of see, you know, a little bit of a hill. Not too much, but just something to kind of make it fade off a little bit more naturally into the distance. And we'll do that around some of the other spots on the map. That is not what I want to talk about today, though. So today I want to talk about some Endgame stuff. So we're not wrapping the series up. Or I shouldn't say we're not wrapping up. We are wrapping it up for now. At the end of the year, we're probably going to start something new at the beginning of the year, and we will definitely come back to Portsmouth. But I want to kind of review some Endgame concepts, and today I wanted to talk about power and water. So when we bring up info views, those are the first two things at the top of the list, right? So let's get those in order, and then I figured we could work our way down through the list over the next couple episodes, kind of see where the city's at, what little improvements we could make. And in one of those episodes, or maybe off camera, I'll paint it with trees, and we'll get ready for some cinematic flybys to send off Portsmouth for now. But let's talk power first. So where I was at was around 1,900 megawatts power production. You can see we're at 4,000 now. But I want to talk about how important this kind of endgame monument is, the fusion power plant. So in order to get that, you'll need a bunch of unique buildings on the map. And in fact, these were the four I did not have: the tax office, the observatory, the science center, and the modern art museum. And the science center's a little bit big. This needs to go off kind of off the edge of the map. This would absolutely fit in our downtown, kind of old style New England downtown. So that, I think, will definitely make it into the build. Maybe possibly, but we'll definitely use this. So we got all these buildings down, which are some of the requirements we had not met for the fusion power plant. But I want to talk about why this one is so great. So let's look at this for a minute. So the nuclear power plants cost $4,000 a week upkeep, and they produce 640 megawatts of power. For 3 of those, that's how we were meeting our power needs. We were producing 1,900 something megawatts of power. This one produces 4,000 at 4,000 per week upkeep. So effectively what we're doing with that is $4,000 a week for 4,000 units, or $12,000 a week for less than half of that. So this absolutely is endgame power at its finest. You can see that right now, as far as power, we're producing 4,000 units. Am I at 100% budget? That doesn't need to be. We're producing that at 50% budget? How is that possible? I'm super confused. We should not be producing that much power at 50%. I'm not going to complain, though. Either way, we've cut our operating costs in a third to produce twice as much power on the same budget. So with that out of the way, let's get rid of these because we don't need them. Power is solved. And one thing worth noting is the nuclear power plants. I ran into this problem when we were kind of on the verge of needing another power plant. And what happens is you start to lose power at the edge of your grid. Unfortunately for me, the edge of my grid is way over here with what I want to talk about next, and that's Endgame water, which is kind of buried in the ocean here. But when that ran out of power, it stopped pushing water to the power plant, which stopped allowing the power plant to produce power for everybody. So, very important that you have either your water closer to your power plants, or you have some sort of alternative power to power them. And you can see my water is powered 100% by those advanced wind turbines with no other electricity coming in there. But endgame power is pretty simple, right? We've just got to unlock the requirements for the monument, get that monument in there, and our power problems are pretty much solved unless you grow to an insanely large city. But I've never had that problem. I dropped the electric budget to 50% and pretty much don't look back, at least in the cities the size that I build. The other thing that I wanted to talk about today was that next thing on the list, which is water. And we're pretty good and in the green on both, but I wanted to talk about a creative way to kind of hide this. And you can see I've done this here. We'll do it from scratch over here on the edge of the map just to show you kind of what this looks like. So on landscaping tools, you can go with one of the canals. And if we do the deep canal, for example, out here in the middle of the ocean, you can barely see the thing. In fact, I kind of lost it. Where is it? There we go. Okay, the terrain tool allows us to kind of see through the water. So we've got that there. We can actually snap right to the edge of those canals our water structures. And if we have the eco water treatment plant, you're cleaning the water and you can pick it right back up if you want to condense and have these two built into one structure. Once you have them slapped to the edge of your canal, you have to connect them with pipes, obviously up to your city. And then bring that over into your city. But you'll want to do some power source also. So for power out here in the water, we could do advanced wind turbines. You could do, I guess, a hydroelectric dam. There's also the ocean energy thermal conversion plant. That needs to actually be put on a shoreline. So if your shoreline was a little closer to where your water was, like it is there, you're able to do that. But this is a really cool way to kind of hide that water structure off, you know, on the edge of the map. And if you're over here, I mean, yeah, I see a turbine, or maybe you see power lines if you prefer to route it that way, but it's not this invasive structure, which as your cities get larger, you need more and more water production. If you want to keep it all together, you could, if you pick the right tool, you could do that canal on land, right? As long as, you know, water's coming in here. But the other thing is even if water is not coming in here, you can recycle a lot of it. So when you're dumping clean water out with the eco water treatment plant, you can pick it right back up across the way. So even in a place where you theoretically couldn't get water intake, you could pick it right back up off the return. But you do still obviously need to get water into the system in the first place somehow for people to be able to expel, for you to pick it back up. But that's just something to consider. But the canals make it really easy to build kind of these organized water structures in your endgame. And when you consider that you can also bury those underwater, that's a huge help for kind of hiding and making things a little bit cleaner looking in your final build. So I'm going to keep chugging along with a bunch of different things that I want to show off in this city, but I'm going to do them in smaller, shorter episodes between now and the end of the year so I can get a lot of stuff done. There were a ton of topics that I wanted to talk about, and I don't think I'm going to get them all in before the end of the year. Where are our full cemeteries? It says we have 3 of them. Let's sort that out before we go. So I'm going to use Move It to delete them. If you have Natural Disasters DLC, and we've talked about this before, the other thing you can do is collapse is the fastest way to do it. So you can collapse that building and it immediately empties, you bulldoze it and replace it back. So there are ways to kind of cheat the system. If you don't have Natural Disasters DLC, then unfortunately you have to empty it the old-fashioned way, which takes a lot longer. Where are our other full cemeteries? It said there were 3. And I don't see where they are. Health and death. Those are all fine. I thought it's... Okay, there's another one. So if we wanted to do this the natural disasters way, just in case you haven't seen it before, you can select collapse. Make sure you're right centered on that structure. Collapse it. And in-game it happens really fast, so you can see it's already collapsed. And now we can bulldoze it and replace it. But with move it, you can just click it and use the bulldoze tool and get rid of it immediately. And then where was our third full cemetery? I'm pretty sure there was a third one. Somebody saw it, I bet. Shaking your fist at the screen. All right, well, we'll pick up on that and review healthcare, deathcare, education, garbage, all that stuff, probably in the next episode. But I wanted to have kind of these quick hit videos for some of our endgame. I will likely... I'm going to leave these here for now. I will likely drop definitely this one, the tax office. Maybe the observatory up on our hill out in the outside edge of the map. It should be kind of away from the city lights. We'll start getting our trees back in and filling it in bit by bit. But as we start to wrap up, at least kind of Portsmouth Part 1, before we come back to it at some point next year, I wanted to go over some of these concepts, talk about kind of where the city's at, give you little updates of the things that I'm doing, and hopefully we'll have it in a really good spot by Wednesday, January 1st's episode, and then we can close the page on Portsmouth for a bit and start with something else. So we'll do some cinematic flybys. I hope you enjoyed today's video. It's going to be encoding overloaded. Consider turning down video settings. No, I will not do that, OBS. You're doing fine. So hopefully you're enjoying. It's going to be a little different over the next couple weeks because I want to talk about a lot of different topics. It's, not going to be quite tutorial, but I do want to review some of those things that I'm doing for my city in the endgame. Things we can look at and things that we want to keep in mind when we do revisit the city, but I want to leave it in a good spot. I want it to be functional, minimize any traffic issues that we can, but make sure that, everything is covered as best as possible with the services that we have on offer so we can really hit the ground running and work on some fun new projects when we do come back to Portsmouth. But we'll be in Portsmouth for the next couple weeks, at least through the end of the calendar year. Hopefully you're enjoying it, and if you are, likes, comments, and shares all help the channel a lot and are greatly appreciated. If you'd like to support the channel, links down below to my Patreon or becoming a channel member on YouTube itself. Subscribe if you're new, and consider hitting the bell to get notifications for updates in this and other series. Follow me on Twitter and join the Discord if you want to get involved in the discussion. And until the next one, this is Move the Mouse, signing off.